Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel Say What's Real TV. This review is for Tyler Perry's Sistas, Season 7, Episode 16, Close to You. So we pick up exactly where we left off last episode, where Tiffany barges in on Danny and Tony in his office claiming to be his wife. So Tony, he wanted to know what she was doing in Atlanta and not in Germany, and she tells him that she requested to be reassigned to somewhere in the States, probably in Atlanta, I'm sure, and they allowed her to spend some time with her kids until she gets her next orders. So Danny, she's standing there sticking out like a sore thumb, feeling all awkward. She decides to introduce herself to Tiffany, and Tony stops her from even shaking her hand and was like, "Oh, Danny, this is Tiffany. Tiffany, this is Danny." Tiffany had to let it be known that she is doing big things in the military. She is moving up in the ranks, and it is now Major Hamilton. So me and Danny both were like, "Congratulations, black girl power, butter on mom. You said wife. Can you kind of clarify that for me? Why did you say wife?" Now, Tony, he quickly jumps in and says that this is his ex-wife, but we're still waiting on the answer as to why Tiffany felt the need to come barging in saying that she was his wife. So, Tiffany, were you just being petty or was that wishful thinking? So, Tony, he's extremely excited for the promotion. He congratulates Tiffany. He hugs her. They do the little Bonnie and Clyde handshake. Danny's standing there looking like, okay. So she tries to break the ice and the awkwardness by bringing up the kids. And Tiffany seemed like she felt some kind of way about that, asking, "Oh, so you already met my kids?" So now Tony over there shaking in his boots, trying to explain to her why that happened. So Tiffany, she inquires on where the kids are, and he says that they are with his mom. This is our first time hearing about his mom because before the aunt was keeping the kids. So apparently Tiffany and Tony's mom have this great relationship. She says she's going to take the mom her favorite banana pudding donuts, and they start laughing and lacking about that, and Danny's standing there looking crazy. So she brings up the date that they're supposed to have later that night, and Tony remembers that he promised the kids to take them to the movies. So Tiffany, she peeps how Danny reacts to this, and she offers to take the kids to the movies, which should have been a no-brainer because that's what she claimed she was there for, to see her kids. But she says she can use an order of nachos and a slushie, and then her and Tony say in unison, the red kind, showing just how he knows her like the back of his hand and has not forgotten the things that she loves. So still being a kind of awkward situation, Danny, she decides to leave. Tiffany tries to fix Tony's tie real quick, and Danny was like, I got that. It's cool. So she calls her a fake ass as she's walking towards the door, and Tiffany tries to check her, asking her what you said, and Danny, she plays it off, but she leaves anyway. I personally don't have a problem with Tony and Tiffany remaining amicable while they're co-parenting, because I can relate to all of that, because all exes don't hate each other. But what I would like to know is, how long has it been since Tony and Tiffany actually got divorced, and what was the reasoning for the divorce? And depending on those answers and the circumstances, could Tiffany want that old thing back? And I'm wondering, did Danny even ask Tony any questions pertaining to his marriage, because she seemed so shocked and appalled that they get along so well. She didn't even know he was in therapy after dating him for 3 months. It's just like, long as we going out on dates and I'm getting showered with gifts and pearls, and we hunching at the job, we hunching at home, we hunching in your office, like nothing else matters, like I'm good. So Fatima, she calls Andy to tell her how upset Hayden was, but also to find out where she was because Miss Marie was on her way, and she knows how she gets about being late. Andy says that the case is still not looking all that good for them, and she has to find something additional on Mr. Willis, because apparently when she found the hidden NFTs worth $75 million, that wasn't going to be good enough. She told Fatima she got some business to take care of, but she'll be there soon. We then see Andy at this undisclosed location calling out the FBI agent's name. He opens the door all dramatic, pulls her in, and tells her to keep it down. And Andy is looking at him like, oh my God, what is going on? So Agent Watt tells Andy while they're still investigating Gary, they have to keep their key witness safe. And she wants to know who it is. And who do you guys think it is? Child, is Penelope magically appearing back like she never left. I had already figured that if Penelope was going to be the key witness, they needed to explain to us how Penelope was able to get away from Gary and be away all this time. And here she is coming with this cockamamie excuse that, of course, does not make sense. So the two of them, they start talking, and Andy's going into this thing where she's telling her, we've been looking for you. Your brother hired somebody to try to find you. We thought Gary did something to you. And Penelope is saying he did. He unalived my child. Then I got to know it with Andy, because it took for Penelope to even say that, for Andy to realize that Penelope's belly was on flat. Like, you didn't notice that? She saw Shade around the corner with her shirt all tucked in, with her belt on, and you didn't think to ask her, where's the baby? Off rip, considering the last time you saw her, her belly was from here to Timbuktu. We know that Penelope was well overdue, over 9 months. Child, whatever. Penelope starts telling what happened. So she says that she confronted him about Kimberly Potter. He got mad, pushed her down. She was bleeding. We saw the blood. She was yelling in excruciating pain. But for some odd reason, Gary told her to go find her some towels to clean up her mess. So in my mind, to help her story along, to make it make sense, apparently while bellied over and bleeding profusely, someone had to help her somewhere along her getting out of this office, get her to somebody's hospital where she had to be checked in. But of course, Jordan must not have checked the hospitals. But anyway, I guess they had to induce her labor, and that's where we realized the child did not survive. So that's the only way it can make sense in my head, because other than that, it does not. Okay. And then how did you even hook up with Agent Watt? Like, I don't get it. But anyway, so Andy, she's wanting to call Jordan, and they're telling her no, they can't risk it because they have to keep her hidden and safe. Penelope is saying that she wants Gary unalived, and she means that she wants him bleeding the way she was bleeding. Saying all this in front of the FBI agent, right? And he is saying how he wants to nail the SOB talking about Gary, but they want to get more information. And I'm like, the FBI, once they start coming, they pretty much have everything they already need. What more do you want? They are both trying to stress to Andy that she cannot tell Jordan anything. She's trying to suggest that at least let him hear your voice so that he knows that you're okay. And they're like, no, we can't risk anything. She doesn't know if she can do that. And I'm kind of confused by that, because Andy, when it comes to you telling anything that you need to be telling all this time, you haven't said a mumbling word. You haven't said anything that you needed to have said before. So I'm confused at why you feel like it's so hard. Just do what you've been doing. Not a damn thing. On last week's episode, you sat in Jordan's face and told him if you had the chance to do it all over again, you would. Stay on hush mouth. So I don't see what the problem is. So we go over there to Sabrina's house, and Pam, she comes over so the two of them can start planning this baby shower for Karen. Danny, she calls Sabrina to let her know she's somewhere getting her vajayjay waxed, and the reason why. Sabrina really don't give a damn. Sabrina just wants to know, why are you not here helping me plan? And the answer to that, Sabrina, would be, Karen asked you to plan it. You and Pam, not Danny. And Danny had to remind Sabrina that Karen is mad at her anyway. So then Maurice, he walks in and tells Sabrina, look, it's the caucasity of it all for me, because every time I come over here, you got your door unlocked. So we actually see Maurice and Pam in a scene together for the first time, and I actually like it. I think it'd be good to have these two bounce off each other in scenes more often. But Pam and Maurice, they kind of hit it off, and she actually asked him to be the ambassador of her Roots to Riches products, and he is smitten by it. He, wants to do it, and she gets his number. They follow each other on social media. So hopefully we can get more scenes between Pam and Maurice so we can get a real good key going, because Pam will be able to have a real good comeback for Maurice, whereas Sabrina don't know what the hell Maurice be talking about half the time. So after Pam leaves, Maurice says he hates her because she's too much. And Sabrina has to bring him back like, you're also too much. He says, well, you can't have two people that's too much, because that's like much. So Sabrina says that she's basically tired of holding in how she feels all the time, upset because the girls didn't show up to help her plan this baby shower, and Maurice was all here for it. Says he likes the new Sabrina and tells her make sure she reads them real good. So she then kicks Maurice out, tells him that her man is on the way, And of course, he starts gathering up stuff that he didn't bring in the house in the first place and spews off a whole bunch of insults before he leaves. So we get a scene in the gym with Zach and Aaron, something I've been waiting on for a while. And Zach actually steps to Aaron and asks, can they squash what they have going on? Aaron basically says, look, I have nothing against you, which Aaron has been saying that from the start. He just wants them to get along, all right? So they kind of make up. They have a little moment where they go back and forth, and Zach says that thing about Fawn that I really don't like. I hate when he brings that up. Like, that's nothing to throw in anyone's face. So they wave the white flag. They say that they're cool. They're able to joke about getting Karen pregnant at the same time. And, you know, they just kind of dap hands or whatever, and you love to see it. I just hope that it lasts, but I'm glad that they were able to at least get to that point. So we head over there to the salon. Pam gets there late, and Karen chastises her about it and tells her she needs to be there when she says she will. Pam lies and says she had a business meeting and that she found an ambassador, like kind of a half-truth. Karen actually knows about the baby shower, so I don't know why she just didn't say that, but whatever. So Karen, she quickly disregards all of that because now she wants to know all about Pam and Trey's date they had the night before. And I'm confused why the audience could not have seen Pam ask Trey on the date in front of Karen and he accept. Why was all of that off camera? And furthermore, why does Karen even care what they talked about? What difference does it make? So Pam basically told her she had a nice time. They talked about business, food, and a few drinks. She may have been twerking. And then Karen says that she's happy for Pam because her hands are full. And then in walks Trey. So he pulls Pam to the side and basically was telling her he was in the area and he thought about her. He came in to try to give her some marketing strategies because his barber gave him a sample of this oil and he really liked it to where he went and got 3 more bottles. So he suggested to her that she give out samples. So Pam, she really loved the idea and she thanked him. So Trey, he leaves and Pam stands there all mesmerized, fantasizing about him when Karen has to snap her back to reality, basically trying to tell her to get back to work. So we go back over there to the law firm and you have Fatima and Hayden doing what they do best with their banter. He tells her he's not going to go back and forth with a paralegal and says by the end of the situation, he will have Marie eating out of the palm of his hands, not knowing she's standing directly behind him listening. So she let him know that the only thing he was going to be eating was the ish he served up at the arbitration earlier and wanted to know where Andy was. So Andy, she comes running in there just in time for the tongue lashing that Miss Marie had for all of them. She was highly disappointed and wanted to know why she was made to look like the boogie woman in front of her ex-husband at this first arbitration. So Hayden, he throws Fatima under the bus and says that if she was doing her job, they would have known about the surprise witness. So Andy, she tries to throw Hayden under the bus and tells him he effed up, and Miss Marie told them both of them effed up and they needed to get their ish together. And she continues by letting them know she doesn't care if he buy a pair of drawers from the dollar store. She want to know every dime he spends of her money. She doesn't want any more excuses. She wants results. So after Marie walks off, Hayden tells Andy that she needs to not leave him out of anything else and to stop worrying about a little boyfriend. Of course, Fatima jumps in and they have their little banter back and forth. So Andy and Fatima, they start talking about Michael, and Fatima tells her that her and Zach plan on getting a nanny. So she asks Andy how's the baby shower planning coming, and Andy remembers now that she was supposed to be calling Sabrina about it. So she calls Sabrina back, basically telling her she had a lot going on. It was a long day. She was late for this, late for that, had to do this and do that. Sabrina was like, look, you still could have called me back, and basically told Andy that her and Danny need to show up for Karen. And Andy was like, look, I apologize. Like, why are you so upset about it? She says that she's tired of not speaking up for herself, and it's probably just the hormones kicking in from the shot she's taking. And Andy was like, look, you know, I like this new voice you done found or whatever, but hey, life is lifing for everybody. He's trying to let Sabrina know she has a lot on her plate right now, and Sabrina gets a knock on her door, and she quickly tells Andy, look, I gotta go. Click. So she gets to the door, and it's Rich. He comes in bringing her these roses. They start kissing, and he basically tells her that she does it for him. She's turned on by him as well. They make it to the sofa. They're making out. He sees one of these little shoes I guess she was using for the baby shower and wants to know what's up with that. And she was like, don't worry about it. So I guess he gets out of the mood and she says, why are you stopping? And he asks her the dumbest question ever, is she still taking her birth control? And I'm like, why would she be taking birth control when you know she's taking the fertility shots? Like, it makes no sense. So Sabrina basically has to count to 10 in her head like, oh, I guess this is try Sabrina Day. And she goes off on him like, look, this is going down with or without you. I don't need your permission to do this. And she tells him to haul ass. You can leave. So I guess he thought she was playing at first because he's like, oh, well, I said I was sorry. Can we just move forward? No, we can't move forward. But Sabrina, you know, she's still trying to be a little respectable towards him. She tells him, look, I heard your position on this, but now I'm not in the mood. I don't want to be bothered. So she gets up and goes to her room and she slams the door, leaving him sitting there looking stupid. My thing with you, Rich, if you don't want any kids, if you are that adamant about not having kids, you need to have a vasectomy. And you definitely need to stop hunching somebody who wants to have kids. It makes no sense. And I'm tired of talking about it. It's dumb as hell. So we go over there to Maurice's house and he sees Grayson in his kitchen and has a hissy fit because Grayson put his oxtails in the oven. Now everybody knows that oxtails cost an arm and a leg. And Maurice has to let him know, look, you do not bake them. They go in the crock pot to simmer with some garlic and little onions and all of this and that. Grayson was not fazed by what Maurice was talking about, but he was turned on by the way he was describing how the oxtails were supposed to be falling all off the bone, all up and through Maurice's mouth. And then he told him that he also rearranged his closet because he has OCD. And that really did it for Maurice. He tells Grayson that his closet is organized chaos and he knows where everything is. Grayson tells him to slow his roll because he was coming off as ungrateful. We all know that Grayson has this little controlling spirit about himself. Maurice lets him know that he just needs his space, but then turns around and says that he really didn't mean it like that. Of course, Grayson took it like that, and he just says, well, enjoy your dinner, and walks out. Now, Grayson has walked out on Maurice quite a few times in this short amount of time they've been together, but for some odd reason, they make up off camera, and we never get to see what the real issues are and how they resolve it. It's just, okay, next week we're back together, we're going on a date, or we're on the phone talking about Mandingo this and Mandingo that. But in the next trailer next week, we do see Grayson talking to somebody else. So later on in the episode, we see Maurice go down to the bar where Chris works at, and he's telling him he needs some drinks. So Chris automatically knows if he's talking like that, something is up. So he explains to him the situation with Grayson and how Grayson cooked up his food and, you know, cleaned up his closet without permission. And Chris was like, he didn't see anything wrong with it. So Maurice admits that the last time he left somebody in his house, Q took all his stuff. So that's what his fear is, getting hurt again. And Chris was like, well, you didn't have a chance to really process that, and you need to really deal with it because you moved on like it never even happened. Maurice does kind of recognize that he may have a problem with committing because of the situation with Q. And even with Maurice knowing all of that, I still feel like there needs to be boundaries set when it comes to Grayson respecting his privacy. So we go over there to Miss Marie's hotel room, and Hayden, he comes in the door asking, can he come in? So he came there to apologize to her for what happened at the arbitration, how he messed up. So she starts talking about marriage and how it's a game and how it's a sacrifice, this and that and the other, and asks him, has he ever been married? And he says for like 2 seconds. So I'm still confused on whether he got divorced to Tamara or not, because I don't remember it happening. So the bottom line was she wanted to know what was he willing to do to correct his mistakes. And he says, well, maybe we can figure something out. And he's giving her the bedroom eyes, and she's looking at him. And next thing you know, her robe drops. And I'm like, oh my. I guess Miss Marie was like, cougars gotta have love too. So we get over there with Zach and Fatima, and they're interviewing for the nanny position. And apparently they're not having any luck because Zach, he doesn't care anymore. He's sitting there eating chips. He got his head on the desk. Now, we don't actually get to see the people that are being interviewed or hear them speak, but this scene was reminding me of the Coming to America scene when Eddie and Arsenio went out to the club and they were meeting all these different women, and the women just seemed like they were out of control, off the wall, just crazy. And apparently all these applicants are just as crazy because Zach and Fatima are not having any luck. So we finally see one of the applicants, and her name is Rose. And she's telling them about her grown kids, how they loved her homemade meatloaf and mashed potatoes. Zach is impressed by that. She tells them she runs a strict bedtime. She knows Michael is a special kid, needs special attention. She uses the calendar app, wants to know, do they use it? Fatima, she loves it. And basically they were sold on Miss Rose. I'm not sure what to think of her just yet, but she seems like she's going to be real strict. So we go over there to Danny's, and her and Tony are just coming back from their date. And he's letting her know that Tiffany will be keeping the kids all night at his mom's house. So Danny, she feels some kind of way about that. And I'm wondering, has she ever even met Tony's mom? And Tony wants to know what is the issue, because he says that it didn't work out between him and Tiffany, and they decided to remain cool for the sake of the kids. And Danny doesn't seem to understand that, and she says it just seems to her like Tiffany is trying to get back into the family, and she doesn't know how Tony does not see that. Tony thinks that she's tripping, so he's ignoring that because now he want to try to kiss and try to get some. And she's like, no, you're dismissing my feelings. And he just chucks it off as her just being jealous, calling it cute. So he does tell Danny that Tiffany was just his college sweetheart, and that's all she'll ever be to him, and that she is who he wants, and he wants to show her. So of course it's back to the sex. So he gives her a little tongue action, and of course that works for Danny for now. So we go over there to Jordan's house, and Ethan is trying to give him some coffee, but Jordan says he needs something stronger to make his mind stop thinking. So now he's drinking liquor, and he got Ethan drinking liquor, and now they're talking about the same thing they always talk about why you want to be on the city council, and we really don't care. We really don't. So Andy, she calls to check on Jordan, and she finds out he's been drinking, and she's basically telling him, just be careful, be very careful. He was like, I got this. Thanks for checking on me. I'm good. He's over there calling her Sugar Plum. He's never called her that before. She calls him Sappy, and he says, well, I am the first one to say I love you. So as soon as Andy hears the word love, she's ready to get off the phone. She's had a long day. She's so tired now she can't drink any more coffee. She has to go. And, he basically understood. He said it was cool and told her to dream about him. Now, the whole time Jordan was on the phone with Andy, Ethan was over there drugging his drink. So then he takes the drink over there to Jordan once he hangs the phone up with Andy. And Jordan, of course, dumb as a box of rocks, doesn't think anything of it. Like, why are you bringing me my drink when I'm getting ready to come sit back down? He doesn't look at it. He just guzzles every last drop. So, of course, Jordan, he passes out. Ethan goes over to him, knowing he only weighs $105, but he's able to drag Jordan in all his dead weight and somehow was able to lift him up and put him on the sofa, as we see in next week's trailer, laying there tooted and booted. But that is where the episode ends. Woo, child, I do not feel sorry for Jordan at all. Whatever happens to him, it is what it is. Do you guys think that Danny has a legit claim saying that Tiffany wants to get back with Tony, or is she just being insecure? And what about Miss Rose? Will she be legit, or is she too good to be true? This episode was written by Maggie Bush. Drop down in the comments. Let me know what you thought about it. As always, you guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.